ready your portal guns and prepare to be transported somewhere delicious! Ha ha! The world's favorite time-traveling TV show is branching out into the foodieverse. Get ready for Rick and Morty Doughnuts. Also, we've got herpes-ridden monkeys are ravaging North Florida. And you better tighten it up because the cutest little creature in all the universes got his own Build-A-Bear. All that and a ton more on a very weird edition of Rad Stuff Podcast. What's going on, guys? I am your host with the most, the best in the Midwest. My name is James Vegas. Welcome to a very special, goofy edition of the Rad Stuff Podcast. Now, in this episode, you might find things fun and interesting, or you might find them downright disgusting, but that's okay. That is why I do this, because it makes me giggle. The first one that's not too disgusting, we'll dive right in. You've seen the show called Dragon Ball Z, I'm sure. Now, myself, growing up being a giant fan of this show, and maybe you are too, there's a gigantic statue of Yamcha Sucks. Now, if you've seen the meme, when Yamcha's laying on the ground, he's been defeated by the weak Cybermen. He did his best, but it wasn't good enough. If you've seen that meme flying around, someone was so inspired by that, they made a gigantic Yamcha Sucks statue. It's enormous. Now it's Yamcha's death pose. The character he met his grim fate at the hands of the weak baddie Cybermen, like I just mentioned, and the pose has come to symbolize utter failure. This huge statue of that pose is anything but. It was a success. As Figure News reports, it went up in Shanghai, China last November. However, some folks seem to be discovering it just now, leading to the unfortunate remarks of the coronavirus, stating that he got ill and it took him out. Again, the statue went up months ago, and it apparently recently has disappeared, and it is not on display anymore. Thanks, coronavirus. You've ruined something amazing. Now, something that also is kind of cool scientifically, it's a little different from what I usually talk about here on the Rad Stuff Podcast, is genetically modified diamondback moths. Yeah, they are making genetically modified moths. They're designed to wipe out wild pest populations. They were released recently in fields for the first time in New York State. Apparently, the moths were the main cause of billions of dollars in crop damage. So they snatched them up, filled them with special powers, and released them back into the wild to wipe out other pests and combat a natural spread insect disease. Supposedly the science have already done this to mosquitoes in the past, and they genetically engineered the males to be less inclined to mate and spread and drop the mosquito population, or it did drop the mosquito population down to 90%. And the same goes for the moths, except for they will be less inclined to consume crops and more inclined to feed on other bugs. So basically, scientists have developed and created genetically engineered zombie moths. Awesome. But what else is awesome is that you can stay in a massive, and I mean massive, Star Wars-themed Airbnb with 9 bedrooms that'll transport you to another galaxy. Almost every inch of this 9-bedroom vacation rental from Loma Homes is themed after something in the Star Wars universe. The villa is located, of course, in Florida and is 15 minutes away from Star Wars Galaxy Edge at Disney World. It's currently listed on Airbnb for $275 per night, plus around a whopping $700 worth of fees. Obviously, the prices may vary. Each bedroom is themed after a different part of Star Wars saga, like Hoth, pod racing, and Dagobah. Now, if you want to take a loan out on your first child's kidney, you might be able to afford this place. Either way, if you're a fan of Star Wars, this seems like somewhere you might want to stay. I mean, it is kind of tight, the idea of staying in, a Star Wars-themed house, but at the same time, not for all that money. In that same galaxy, we've got Build a Yoda. That's right, the cutest creature in the galaxy is arriving at Build-A-Bear. Workshop this spring. Build-A-Bear's caption informed followers this Thursday on Twitter. But if you're really itching for one ASAP, you can sign up right now ahead of time for the company's bonus club, which will keep you informed via email to ensure you're amongst the first few to know when the child, rabbit ears, the child, arrives in stores, online, and in this universe. I'm not going to lie, that thing looks adorable. But you know what's not adorable is fame. Yeah, and it comes at a price. And that price is gaming, entertainment, and esports organization FaZe Clan is taking a unique approach to signing who it hopes will become the next big gaming star. A reality show. The Los Angeles-based company has partnered with the yet-to-be-released streaming service QB to produce FaZe Up, a contest that will see 6 users of the QB app compete to be the next signed FaZe member. To participate, contestants will need to subscribe to the QB in April. Now, this is an interesting concept that hasn't really been seen in the esports industry just yet. Most professional video game players today are scouted either through the top leaderboards and tournaments of popular titles like Fortnite, or League of Legends, or Call of Duty, or something like that. Or they are already well-known social media personalities with big followings on Twitch or YouTube. From there, an organization like FaZe would sign a contract with a player and bring him onto its roster of talent, which can involve being a content creator or competing as part of the established esports team dedicated to a distinct title, or in some cases, both. A reality show approach, however, brings a much more dramatic and Hollywood-esque flair to the process that might appeal to a different type of gaming competitor or an online creator, or maybe just an overall viewer who's interested in a day in the life in a video game competitor. The description FaZe Up doesn't say that any of the potential contestants have to be top tier in any one of the video games, or they even need to have a substantial social media presence. In other words, a bunch of nerdy kids got together and said, yo, how can we make being like a nerdy gamer and like take it mainstream and call like FaZe Up? That's so tight, bro. Yeah. And every one of us inside kind of wants to be a pro streamer anyways in one way, shape, or form. We're all going to tune in and watch it and help push the nerdy and gaming community to new heights. And for that, FaZe Clan, we thank you. Now, one thing we all should be thankful for is the third installment of Bill and Ted Face the Music. It's finally going to hit the theater and screens this summer, and it will bring back the iconic time-traveling phone booth as first seen in 1989 classic that started it all, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. While the phone booth might be a thing of the past, Cubicle is bringing them into the future with the first ever life-size authentic recreation of the phone booth, used by Bill S. Preston Esquire and Ted Theodore Logan to travel through the circuits of time. This weekend, Alex Winter returned as young Bill and old Bill in an epic Walmart commercial, dude, that had him appearing alongside other important figures of historical significance from various movies throughout time. Don't know how Walmart keeps pulling the franchises for these, but it's great, and I friggin' love it. If you haven't seen the commercials, go on YouTube and Google nostalgic Walmart commercials. The phone booth used in this commercial can now be yours. And pre-orders are currently open, so you can save your place in line. The phone booth was also prominently featured in the first ever sequel, Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. If you want to own your own time-traveling phone booth, you might want to start saving now. The asking price for this limited edition phone booth runs in at a heinous $8,495. And you'll need to place a $100 deposit down when pre-ordering the iconic prop. Place the pre-orders for the phone booth at cubicle.com and become a part of history. I know that kind of sounded like an ad for them, but it wasn't. I was just reading off my cue cards here. But yeah, if you want this radical phone booth, dude, head over to cubicle.com and become a part of history. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, realistically, it's pretty radical. I would definitely own it and keep it in my basement. It would be totally sweet milk. If you look up the picture of this thing, it's beautiful. It looks really legitimate. The craftsmanship's done well. If you got $8,000 sitting around that you want to just fart out for this sweet piece of movie history, get up on it, baby dog. The price is almost as scary as this next segment. Is Netflix is getting its own Resident Evil adaptation series. Now, we haven't heard a heck of a lot about the Netflix adaptation of Capcom's Resident Evil franchise pretty much since last year, but according to Redanian Intelligence, a fan site that worked to uncover information about the Witcher Netflix series, that's about to change this summer, when the Constantine film developed series begins production. Now, keep in mind that this hasn't been confirmed, but with Redanian Intelligence working so hard and diligently to find out info about the Witcher series before, there might be something to it. According to a production entry from the RE series, aside from production beginning in June, the show is set to be 8 episodes long, with each being 60 minutes in length. Prior to the June start date of the series, on-location prep work begins around April, with the main hub of production to be based in South Africa. There goes my chances to be an extra on that show. Again, this hasn't been confirmed by either Netflix or Constantine Film. However, with the remake of the Resident Evil 3 Nemesis game being rumored and splashed right around the corner, with the success of The Witcher transition from game to Netflix, it wouldn't be that much of a stretch if someone finally said something about the production in an official capacity. So let's hope that this summer, with the blockbusters and the amount of movies that are flying around, Resident Evil will get the unbotchery and get more of the debauchery when it comes to cinematography on Netflix. And one thing it is really sexy to my ears is it's Wendy's time! That's right, the battle for breakfast gains a new entrant on March 2nd of this year. That is when Wendy's enters the ring and debuts its highly anticipated menu for the increasingly competitive time slot. How about second breakfast? The launch comes 6 months after the fast food chain announced it wanted to be in this growing category. The full menu consists of 9 sandwiches. There are croissants, including 2 options with egg, sausage, egg, Swiss cheese or bacon, Swiss cheese, and a maple bacon chicken croissant. Similar egg sandwiches will also be sold on biscuits and classic buns. It's also selling new side dishes, like potato wedges and replacing its coffee blend. There are a few uncertainties about this endeavor. Now, mind you, Wendy's previous attempts to sell breakfast flopped hard, like a flaky, floppy, jalopy pancake. And breakfast, mind you, in this fast food chain race gets expensive. They're about to spend $20 million to hire about 20,000 new employees to serve breakfast in all its stores. So for all those people out there who need a job, ring, ring, Wendy's is calling, pick up, time to make some breakfast. Okay, how about that? Investors soared on the stock when Wendy's initially announced it in the news in September, but the shares jumped up to now 27% over the last year. There are a lot of uncertainties about this endeavor, though, especially with the flop back in 2012. So who knows really where this is going to go. But at least Wendy's will have plenty of competitors in the breakfast space, including the MCD, McDonald's, Dunkin' Donuts, and Panera. But let's hope that Wendy's comes in clutch, because let's be honest, French fry Frosties are FTW. And maybe the breakfast menu will crush it in the same way. Slam dunk, Wendy's called. JK, who's that on the line? It's Dunkaroos. That's right. Your delicious childhood snack with those tiny little cardboard cookies. Dunk it in some of that sweet cream. Yeah, that's right. Now, if you think back, I'm talking about the time when the Backstreet Boys rode the bicycles. I'm talking about in the 1990s. Americo-Australian relations were on an all-time low, and America needed to score some points down under, if you know what I'm saying. Evening. As I'm sure you remember, in the late 1980s, the U.S. experienced a short-lived infatuation with Australian culture. An infatuation that inspired General Mills to develop Dunkaroos, an Australian-themed snack featuring a small container of frosting and tiny cookies shaped like, that's right, mate, kangaroos. For some bizarre reason, the Aussies thought that this would be a permanent thing. They were like, yo, mate, of course the cookies are delicious. Why wouldn't we want them, I'm the worst at accents. Of course, it wasn't the down under fad fizzled and the diplomatic climate turned absolutely frosty. See what I did? Like Frosties, Wendy's, Frosty. And this. All right, I'm done. Dunkaroos were discounted and discontinued in 2012 for absolutely no good reason whatsoever. And most adults didn't notice until January 2014 when recreational weed became legal in Colorado. Go figure. A little toke on the old devil's lettuce, and you get a little hungry for a snabble of cookies you want to dump in that cream. Yesterday, after 8 long years of high vocal public yearning for the return of the ultimate 90s snack, I disagree with that. There's many other things I'd like to see come back, but I'll say it's really delicious. General Mills announced via Twitter that Dunkaroos are back, baby! And for real this time. It's not just rumor. And just like that, all arguments that we are living in the darkest timeline have imploded. So that's right, guys. Pack your pipes and pack up a box of snackies, because Dunkaroos are backies. Speaking of back, is bareback. That's right. Somebody didn't wrap it before they tapped it on some of these dirty monkeys. Forget the Florida man. Now there's Florida monkeys, a roving band of feral herpes-ridden monkeys are roaming across northeast Florida. The STD-riddled monkeys had previously been confined to Silver Spring State Park near Ocala, Florida. That's right. Watch out, Ada, remember, the monkeys are coming for you. But are now being spotted miles away in Jacksonville, St. John's, St. Augustine, Palatka, Wallaka, and Elkton, Florida. I guess the monkeys are on the roam. They are sex fiend addicts, and they are coming for you. That's right. According to local ABC affiliate, First Coast News, even more worrying. Over a quarter of the 300 feral monkeys, an invasive species native to South and Southeast Asia, carry herpes B. I'm assuming that's the one that's on their lips. So don't be kissing none of those monkeys. They were introduced to the area in the 1930s by a local cruise operator, Colonel Toohey's Jungle Cruise, which released 12 monkeys over a series of years onto a man-made island inside Silver Springs State Park. Now, story time. When I was a young boy, I would visit the Silver Springs State Park with my great-grandmother and her husband. She loved taking me on these trips. I would go, and I'm pretty sure there was ladies who would dive in pools that you would look through glass, and there was mermaids, and there was this wildlife tour thing, and there were springs that I would swim in. And I remember these monkeys when I was a little kid in Florida. I specifically remember, I don't know what it was called. It was called like Ape Island or something. And it was a bunch of wild monkeys just going bananas and hucking doo-doo at each other. Now, after they said he released the 12 monkeys onto the man-made island, the monkeys swam to freedom and reproduced at alarming rates. The monkeys were making the humpies and are now wandering around residential areas. Well, at least for all the gentlemen out there doing the dirty, when the tests come back positive, just tell her you didn't cheat and you were bit by a baboon on the wiener. But if it works out and you do what Beyonce said and put a ring on it, Converse has got you covered, unlike the Trojans they didn't use for those monkeys. Now, nearly all women will agree that wearing high heels is exceedingly painful, especially at a wedding. Hence why most women take your shoes off, put them in a circle, and just dance. Weddings are not exactly known for their short duration, and much of the day is spent on your feet, followed by a long night of dancing. Don't worry, not at my wedding. Dancing's not my forte. Leave it to everybody else. I'm going to be at the bar. Now, if you are one of the people that want to be on the dance floor, standing for 5 minutes in heels is just tormenting enough, let alone the entire day. Now you no longer have to subject yourself to such pain, thanks to the Converse Wedding Sneakers collection. Now you too can dance late into your wedding night comfortably in style with these timeless designs from Converse. High-heeled bridal shoes are undeniably stylish, but these Chucks also look so stellar. If you Google these bad boys, it's definitely something you're going to want to rock for your wedding. I was actually talking to my lady that when we finally tie the knot, if we can rock some of these. Now, Converse crafted this shoe line so that you do not have to sacrifice comfort for style on your wedding day. The classic style was introduced in 1917 and definitely has withstood the test of time, like any marriage should. They also sell a men's line, so don't worry, gents. You can still rock those fly, and you can run faster, jump higher, and escape quicker from the altar if you have to do this so in style. So don't feel left out. There's several styles, including a high top, low top, or platform silhouette with many elegant designs. You can keep it classic with the simple Chuck Taylor All-Star high tops. There's also a white version available if you do not prefer the black accents. Now, each shoe is available in several different styles, so you can get the same design in low tops as well. There is a black design for those who want more of an unorthodox, bold approach. This design, they have one here that I'm looking at, is floral embroidered Chuck Taylor All-Star high top. I'm also looking at the black All-Stars. They're available without the embroidery and in leather in the high-end wedding expectations for the high tops. It seems here you can customize your own sneakers so they will go well with any dress. So you can write and be like, look, this is the vibe I'm going for, and they'll tailor any of those shoes to you. Now, mind you, they're made with 100% recycled polyester from plastic bottles. Converse also offers environmentally friendly wedding shoes if that's your vibe and you want to go with a more earthy approach. There's also a mini sequin Chuck Taylor platform available if you want something a little bit sparkly. Comfy wedding shoes are the way to go, and the day is all about you and your love, so you might as well be as comfortable as possible and have a great time while you're doing it. Well, I said, now I'm no big city doctor here now, but KFC has unleashed with Krispy Kreme a chicken donut sandwich. Now, you may be scratching your head at the idea of donuts and fried chicken together, but as KFC pointed out, the combo has been popular in places like Philadelphia, San Diego, and definitely Portland in the recent years. Plus, honestly, who doesn't love chicken and waffles? I mean, I'm a vegetarian, so that's not my thing currently, but when I did eat meat, I freaking love it. This trend just seems to take place as a sweet and the savory combo to the next fried level of crunchiness. Plus, if we're still talking chicken sandwich wars, are we? This seems like a major curveball in that game. If you're looking to give this one a try, it's available right now. If you're lucky to live in the Norfolk, Richmond, Virginia area and Pittsburgh areas, it's just a test, but there's a chance if it's successful, you could be seeing it in other places around the country soon enough. In the meantime, I guess you can MacGyver this one by getting a hot dozen from Krispy Kreme and a bucket of boneless chickens from KFC and make your own sandwich. I mean, honestly, can you really go wrong with that? Oh, geez, just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, Rick and Morty take over to a new thing. That's right, we're taking over, baby, all right, yeah. That's right, Rick and Morty have dove into the foodieverse. Now, following the previous successful food collaborations, the creators of Rick and Morty have released a new range of sweet treats designed to make you forget about the heartache of having to wait for the second half of Season 4. But honestly, who needs closure when you can have Rick and Morty Krispy Kremes? Now, they recently launched in Australia the show's latest mashup featuring three all-new donuts. Each design is a nod to one of the most beloved moments from the series. Available in a specially created novelty box. The Rick and Morty Krispy Kremes are the only reasonable way for Aussie fans to get swifty. Short of breaking into Justin Roiland and Dan Harmon's basement and stealing 4 episodes, or 6 or maybe 10 of them. I don't know. But included in this worthy lineup, the squanch-worthy lineup, shall I say, is citrus-flavored Pickle Rick donuts. Ha-ha! Morty, that's right, I'm Pickle Rick! Stuffed with lemony filling to replicate the sharpness of a pickle, and a bright pink simple Rick wafer cookie and cream donut, and a marshmallow-loaded strawberry Smiggles ring. All this can be washed down with a delicious side of Fleeb juice. Wubba-lubba-dubba-dub-dub! Indeed. As hungry Rick and Morty fans will know, this isn't the first time that the show has crossed paths with the fast food industry. Most recently, the cartoon collaborated with the beloved potato snack Pringles to release Pickle Rick flavored chips. As excitement around the second half of the new season reaches its boiling point, it's safe to assume that we'll only see an increase of the amount of Morty-heavy merch. Oh, geez, that's so great! As per report in Comic Book, the new fans, therefore, have a difficult decision to make before they rush to their nearest Krispy Kreme store to pick it up. Now, they might be delicious, but do you really want to endorse a system where artistic expression is compromised by corporate partnerships? In the words of Rick Sanchez, capitalism, after all, is just slavery with extra steps, Morty. Now, rolling along with time skipping, going back and forth in between time and awesome things, last week, one of the most iconic cars of all time was said they're going to be reissued. That's right, the Pontiac Grand Am Firebird is set to make a limited run comeback. And with that, there's another car that you guys might have seen from these movies called Back to the Future 1, 2, and 3. That's right, it's the freaking DeLorean, man. We are living in such a nostalgic time because they said they're going to be reissuing them, and man, do they look super radical. They kind of look like the Porsches did in like the mid-90s, late 80s, like the future concept Porsches, but all got that silver finish like the DeLoreans have. They've been rumored for years that they were going to make them, but they haven't really said anything official until recently, and so many people have been demanding that these things get remade. I think GM finally listened. Now, unfortunately, the project was held up because of changes in regulations, made it very difficult to execute important aspects of the traditional DeLorean design. Luckily, the laws have recently changed to allow low-volume automakers to sell up to 325 cars each year that resemble production vehicles manufactured at least 25 years ago. However, the vehicles must meet current Clean Air Act standards for the model in the year in which they were produced. Basically, they can't go around dumping smog and murdering animals and trees. As a result of the loosened regulations, DeLorean's vice president, James Epstein, announced that the company is working on a new version of the DeLorean that isn't updated for the modern age. And like I said, these bad boys are nasty. They are so cool looking. Now, it's stated that the body style is going to stay to the original, but I think it looks like a sleeker, silver, futuristic Ferrari. Yeah, it looks very aerodynamic to say the least. It will be built with a mixture of original and new parts. Unlike the original, the new DeLoreans will have features like power steering. I guess apparently they didn't have that back in that time that car was around. Cruise control, navigation, and Bluetooth. Ooh, stepping it up with that dirty Bluetooth. The DeLorean brand has a rich history, which includes the car being featured in, obviously, I stated, in the Back to the Future franchise. However, it had a lot of real-life drama that involved the owner and CEO of the company getting caught smuggling millions of dollars worth of cocaine. I'm guessing in these cars, it didn't go much too further into that, and I guess we'll have to save it and figure out that and dig up that juicy dirt on the Googleizer once I get done with this podcast. However, on that sassy note, guys, I want to say thanks for tuning in. we have definitely reached the 30-minute marker. We're actually going to go over it for the first time in all 4 episodes of this podcast. As I said prior, my name is James Vegas. If you want to check me out on the Twitters, you can tweet me at the James Vegas. If you want to creep on my personal life, feel free to hit me up on Instagram.com/the James Vegas. And on that note, guys, just creep it real, all right? There's lots of strange things. I'm going to keep covering it until I get shut down by the FBI or the NSA or anything else. I don't even know. Whatever organizations. The Illuminati comes down and gives me a bris. Until then, take it sleazy, guys.